Yo, what's good, everybody? Warrior Falls just dropped in Marvel Snap, and it is going to be a hot location. You're gonna have a better chance to end up with this location in each one of your matches. How Warrior Falls works, your cards are actually going to battle against each other in one-on-one fights. And whoever has the most power ends up winning, and the losing side gets destroyed. There's going to be two different ways that we're going to approach this, and I'm going to show you the best cards that you should use for Warrior Falls. So there's technically three ways to approach this, and it's just your normal kind of control thing. You could drop armor there, then nobody gets destroyed, which is kind of boring. Or of course, you could drop a Storm down, or even a Scarlet Witch, which you may very well want to do when you're playing those control type decks. This video is more about using this location to our advantage. And of course, if we're talking about destroying cards, we got to talk about all the main destroy cards. And the first one we got to talk about is Nova. Now, if you're playing Nova at Warrior Falls, you don't want to drop him on the very first turn, because your opponent is going to drop something on the second turn or the first turn, destroy your Nova, and he's not going to power anybody up. Nova is kind of like a later game play to boost up all the cards in all your locations. Bucky is a card that you want to play right away, because if you drop Bucky and your opponent drops somebody else, well then Bucky's just going to get destroyed and turn himself into Winter Soldier. Now all of a sudden you went from having 1 power there to having 6 power, and that is the whole goal of playing at that location, is that we want beefy, meaty fighters that are going to have a ton of power, and they're going to beat each individual card. Although I don't have this card, Deadpool is a fantastic card for this particular location. You're going to drop Deadpool early, he's going to get killed, he's going to double his power, he's going to come back to your hand, you're going to drop him again, he's going to get killed, you're going to double his power again. At that point, he may kill what was initially dropped, and then your opponent is going to attack him back, he's going to come back to your hand. You're both beefing up this card, and then you're dropping him with a massive amount of power, and he's going to end up being the one that just basically executes all your opponent's cards. Another destroy card that is essential for this hot location time period is going to be Death. Now, obviously, I don't have Death, but if I did, she would be in every one of my decks while this location was popping up. She costs 1 less for each card destroyed in the game, not just your cards that are destroyed, also your opponents. With each individual fights, these guys are battling and somebody's getting destroyed. Death is going to end up being a 0 cost card that you could play anywhere. You don't necessarily have to play her on Warrior Falls. And another important strategy point is that you should have Hulkbuster in your decks for Warrior Falls, because if you drop Bucky Barnes on turn 2, your opponent crushes Bucky, turns him into Winter Soldier. Now he's a 6 power card. Your opponent drops a nice card on turn 3 that he thinks is going to kill your Bucky. Well, all of a sudden you drop Hulkbuster in the same spot. Hulkbuster attaches to him, and now you got 10 power Bucky Barnes right there, and he's going to take out a lot of your opponent's cards. Now, I just used Bucky as an example. You could do that with any one of your cards. What we want to do is keep making these bodies stronger and stronger and bigger if we can. Another guy that works similarly to Hulkbuster is Forge. The only issue with Forge is that you're not going to play him on Warrior Falls. You're going to have to play him at a different location, and then whatever the next card comes out, he's going to power them up and give them +2. That definitely works, but just understand it's not really as good as Hulkbuster, and you're not playing them on Warrior Falls. And the last type of card that we want to talk about are these beefy, strong cards that cost a small amount of energy to get off. A guy like Maximus, who only costs 3 energy but gives you 7 power in that location. Your opponent is less likely to expect so much power on your third drop. Crossbones also fits into that category. 4 energy, 8 power, that's pretty solid. And of course, Black Panther, who's gonna double his power when he's dropped. If you drop Hulkbuster on Black Panther, he's going to get revealed for a second time. He's going to double his power again, and your opponent's not going to have an easy time. Gamora is an incredible card for this location. If you know your opponent is playing a card on turn 5, then you're dropping Gamora, and all of a sudden she is a 12 power body for only 5 energy, and your opponent is going to have a very hard time beating her right there. And of course, you got your huge 6 drops. A guy like Infinaut, if you decide to skip the 5th turn, dropping him on 6 is pretty much gonna guarantee that he beats whoever your opponent throws out there. A guy like Hulk, and of course a really fun card like Magneto. You drop Magneto on turn 6, all of a sudden he drags your opponent's 3 and 4 cost cards from other locations, and now those cards have to fight whatever beefy monsters you got set up in Warrior Falls. Magneto may be my favorite card to use at this location because he is going to provide so much chaos. Your opponent is not going to expect to lose extra cards. And before we go, there's just 2 more cards that didn't really fit in the categories that I had mentioned, but they still actually work out really well for this, and that's Spider-Woman. I guess you can kind of call her a little bit of a control card, a little bit of a power, but Spider-Woman doesn't have as much power as, say, Gamora or Black Panther, but she is a 5 energy card, and she's going to -1 power from each card that your opponent has there. So that may end up being the difference maker between you winning a fight in between the 2 cards or losing it. And of course, it would be impossible not to mention Colossus. Although I said armor was kind of unfun because you're stopping everybody from fighting, Colossus can't be destroyed at all. So if he doesn't win a fight, well, he's gonna stay there anyway. That's just kind of a cool way to skip over that part and have a card survive while your other cards battle it out to the death. So those are the cards that I think are best in Warrior Falls. We had a mixture of Pool 1, Pool 2, and Pool 3 cards. You're really gonna have a lot of fun at this location. I'm so excited about it, and I appreciate you guys watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. It helps out big time, and thank you so much for watching. You have yourself an amazing rest of your night.